Troubles neither. Get ready.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 19 of the Play to Win podcast. My name is Keiran, and I'm, of course, joined by my awesome co-host, Tyler. How's it going, my dude?
It is going well, my dude. Again, bit of a busy week. But, you know, we're getting through. We're getting through the week, getting through every single day. We're making things happen. And it was a bit of a fun week. I'm not even gonna lie. Play some fun games this week, which I'll talk about later. Played one that's not so fun. I'll talk about that as well and show you what I mean by that too. But nonetheless, it was a good week.
Nice. I regretted saying my dude as soon as I said it.
Why?
I don't know. Just I feel like it's not a term I'm young enough to use, you know?
I mean, everyone says dude. People say dude all the time. Like you can do that. You're fine.
I'm 87 years old. I'm past that.
Oh yeah, you're the youngest looking 87-year-old I know.
Yes, this is the Play to Win podcast. You can, of course, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Play to Win Game, where you'll get updates on the show. We share some cool stuff. You'll get stuff over there related to us. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube while you're here watching the podcast. Make sure you take the notification bell so you know when new videos go live, like Tyler's Fortnite review video that went up on yesterday.
It was not a review. It was more so just my recording of the Ariana Grande concert.
Okay.
Which, that's happening all weekend long. There's like 2 shows happening today. I think there's 2 happening tomorrow. I actually forgot. Like, I knew it was happening. I forgot it was happening though. And I didn't think I was going to be able to watch yesterday's because yesterday's show was at 6 p.m. Eastern. That was the only one yesterday on Friday. So I was thinking, I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm not going to be able to watch it. But I forgot. I get out at 4 o'clock during the summer on Fridays. So I got home like 5:30. No, I got home like around like 5. I was out the shower at 5:30. I was like, oh, wait, let me see if I can like hop in that real quick. So I was able to hop on in. I hopped on into the lobby. I was like, oh, sweet, fantastic. So I was like, you know what? Let me record this. And yeah, it was a really cool show. It's the first one I've seen live. Like the other ones I've seen like videos of them on the internet afterwards. But you know, let me say, I said it before, like Fortnite does some really cool things with their like limited time events and all. Like you got to be there in the moment for it to happen, you know, to experience it and all. It's one thing like hearing about it and reading about it and then watching it afterwards. It is actually a very different thing being there when it happens, like the very first time. It's a very different feeling because you're just like, whoa, like I'm actually a part of this. I'm actually a part of what's happening right now. All these other people are experiencing the exact same thing that I am in this moment. Nevertheless, like it's also an Ariana Grande concert in this game. It had some absolutely like, wow, some crazy visuals. It was a sight, a spectacle to behold. That's literally what I said in the description of the video. That's what I said on Twitter. It was really cool. So yeah, I put a video, my recording of it. Go watch it if you have not seen the show, or if you haven't watched anyone else's. I don't commentate over it. I don't. I talk at the beginning, at the very end, at the beginning before it starts, and at the end when it's over. I don't talk over the actual thing. So you guys get to, you know, enjoy the whole show without hearing, oh my gosh, that's so cool. What? I can't believe this. Wow. You can actually enjoy the songs and just what's happening without someone chatting over it.
Yeah, go check that out. I will do that after we're finished recording. But for this episode of the Play to Win podcast, we are going to be discussing some more Activision Blizzard updates from the lawsuit, as more stuff, quite significant stuff, I think, has happened over the course of the last week. We will then be moving on to toxic work culture at Fullbright, makers have gone home. Then move on to reported PSVR 2 specs. And finally, we'll talk about Battlefield 2042 becoming live service, in air quotes. Before all that, we have some brief mentions to get through. I am going to get through these very quickly because they're brief. So number 1, Xbox is holding another Twitch ID Xbox show on the August 10th at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. There will be a host of in-games, new announcements, and updates on a number of titles, including Ollie Ollie World and The Artful Escape. So
there's no mention on how long the show will be. No. Hopefully it's not 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah, long. Hopefully not. So yeah, just as another reminder that it's August 10th at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern. Two PS5 dev kits were on eBay before their list was taken down. Interesting, I guess. Two more scalper PS5s.
Not scout dev kits.
Well, yeah, but I imagine going for like ludicrous amounts of money for a PS5.
I don't know. Well, because I mean, it's not the actual PS5. It's like I wonder. I don't know how much they were. I forgot. I think like people had like the actual prices in articles and stuff. But I saw that, so I was just like, wow. Sony was like, no, you are not selling that.
Interesting. I didn't actually see that. Mario Golf Super Rush got an update this week, adding Toadette as a character, New Donk City as a course, ranked matches mode, and improved motion controls. The Switch has this is probably my favorite brief mention that we have.
I thought about having this be a full story, but I was like, I can't read into it too much right now. We just briefly talk about it.
Yeah,
like this.
The Switch has surpassed the Xbox 360 and PS3 sales numbers. The Switch has sold 89 million units, whereas the 360 and PS3 sold 86 million and 87.4 million units, respectively. That's really damn cool.
That's awesome. Again, it was going to happen regardless. At some point 100%. In time. I think the next one for them to pass now, console-wise, is the Wii, I think. And then after that, it's the PS2 in terms of the console space. So it's gonna happen. They're gonna pass the Wii for sure. I mean, you could almost. I wouldn't be surprised if it like happens. Well, no, I don't think it'll happen before the end of this year. Because I was gonna say with the Switch OLED coming out, like there's gonna be a giant surge of sales from that. But again, there's still like shortages and stuff. So maybe not the end of this year, but it'll happen within the next year. It's gonna pass the Wii for sure.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's only a matter of time before it passes every other console in existence ever.
Right, because the Wii, I think, is like just over 100 million. It's not that far over 100 million, so it'll happen.
Where was I? Cammy and Guile from Street Fighter joined Fortnite as of today in the item shop. It's cool. Google considered buying some or all of Epic Games in order to keep them from getting around the Google Play Store's restrictions, which was an article written by The Verge.
Yep, that's an interesting little tidbit there. Like it kind of came out like some newly unsealed like court documents and stuff from like the case and everything. So it's like, Google saw them as a threat. And they were like, no. Like they could really consider be like, we will buy part of you and tell you can't do this just to keep it from happening. It's really interesting. Go read the Verge's article if you want to know more about that.
Yeah. Data miners found voice files in the Halo Infinite technical preview for a potential battle royale mode. I'm fairly certain that like it's not been confirmed, but it's been like heavily rumored that there is going to be a battle royale mode coming at some point. But 343 have said that there will not be one at launch.
Yeah, people are speculating, saying, "Oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen." And 343 has said it before. The only BR we're focused on is the battle rifle.
Yep.
Like, and that's the thing. No one. I don't like people. I've seen people say that if Halo Infinite doesn't have battle royale at launch, that it's like the worst move that they could have ever made. And it's like, okay, first off, it doesn't need battle royale at launch. Nope. What Halo Infinite needs to do is be the best Halo it can be in the modern day and age. That's what it needs to do. What it can do after that is then bring in battle royale. It would be a big mistake and a crime if Halo Infinite never got battle royale.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That would be a different story. I would agree on that, being like, yeah, that'd be a giant missed opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
But so I am of the mindset that battle royale will come to Halo Infinite at some point in time. It does not need to be at launch, and it should not be at launch.
No, 100%. Like, I mean, but not getting too much into it, but the Halo has to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would much rather them not put a battle royale mode in if it means that they can focus more on the actual game.
Yeah.
Amazon's New World has been delayed again from August 21st to September 28th. The team wants to address feedback and polish the game a bit more after the most recent beta that went very well. Apart from it was bricking 3090s, which was
I heard. I didn't hear that it was doing that 3090s, but I heard that like the game was just like really giving some high end GPUs and PC parts like a tough time, and I'm just like, man, is this game like the new Crisis or something out here? Like, what the heck? I mean, it's great that Amazon has a great game on their hand and an MMO at that, but all right, that's something.
Yeah. I'm sure people weren't happy that game was breaking their 80, £1,400 MSRP graphics cards.
Yeah.
2K is revealing a new franchise this month that's set to release this fiscal year by March 31st, 2022. Ghost of Tsushima Legends standalone version announced, releasing on September 3rd for $20. A new mode was announced as well called Rivals, which is similar to Gambit from Destiny 2. Sony says they can reach 22 million PS5 consoles sold by the end of their fiscal year, March 2022, due to securing enough of the necessary components. Finally, thank you, Sony. Please give us more PS5s.
I mean, that's not saying that like there's not going to be any problems. You're going to have or you have a like easy time getting them. No. They're just saying that they haven't secured enough components to sell this many for sure. Yeah. That's all they're saying. It's still going to be the Wild West out here in terms of getting them, though, most likely.
According to GamesBeat, the Dead Space remake is reportedly planning to release late 2022, and the team intends to show more of the game by the end of this year, which is cool. I want to see more of that. Yep. And our final brief mention is Modern Warfare 3 Remastered doesn't exist. Activision told Charlie Intel, yes. Quote, a remaster of Modern Warfare 3 campaign or multiplayer does not exist. Any reports otherwise are incorrect, end quote. Kind of sad. I don't actually think I ever played Modern Warfare 3. No, I totally didn't. I went straight. I can't remember what the game after Modern Warfare 3 was, but
Black Ops 2.
Yes. I think that was I don't think it was the first COD game I played. I think the first one was Modern Warfare 2, then World at War, then Black Ops 2, and I've played most of them since. Anyway.
Gotcha.
Yes, Modern Warfare 3 remaster not coming, which I'm sure fans of that game will be disappointed at, but I'll take it or leave it.
I'm fine with it. It doesn't really matter to me any which way. Like, the only one I ever wanted a remaster of was Modern Warfare 2. And we got that. That's the one that I love the most. Mm-hmm. Modern Warfare 3, not to say I didn't like it. I did like it. I don't have anywhere near as fond memories of it as I do for 2. So, I mean, doesn't exist. All right, cool, fine. Carry on. Go about my day.
Yep, I am with you on that. Okay, we are going to move on to our first story, and we are going to kind of quick fire run through a bunch of the stuff that happened with Activision Blizzard this week, but there are a couple of things that we will probably end up talking about. Probably maybe the first one actually, which is J. Allen Brack, who was the president, CEO.
President.
Yeah. J. Allen Brack, the president of Blizzard, has stepped out. Yeah, it's right here. Open your eyes.
It's funny because you said that. I was just like, I mean, it says it there too.
Like if I had read one word further, I would have gotten it. J. Allen Brack steps down as Blizzard president. He has been replaced by co-leaders Jen O'Neill and Mike Ibarra. Mike Ibarra used to work for Xbox.
Yes, that is an interesting note.
Yep. Honestly, this is something that it was a matter of time until it happened, I'm pretty sure. Like, this is something that I think had to happen in order for Blizzard to improve. So I'm happy this happened.
Yeah, I forgot what day it was. It might have been Monday when this I think happened or whatever. I know it was the very start of the week, Monday or Tuesday. Pretty sure Monday is the correct day though. I was just like, oh wow, okay. I wasn't expecting that to happen so soon.
Oh yeah.
Granted, I mean, it's at that point it's been 2 weeks since the lawsuit first came out, but I mean, any sooner would have been even more shocking. But still, I wasn't expecting it to happen when it did. I might have expected it to take like another week, 2 weeks, maybe another month or so. Yeah, it would be like more pressure to be piled on before he says, you know what, I'm gonna leave and step down. But the fact that it happened so soon, I was like, wow, okay. Replaced by 2 co-leaders, okay, interesting. Also interesting that they're not called like co-presidents or anything, it's co-leaders. I think that's an interesting distinction. Yeah. I mean, sure, that might be basically in the same position, but interesting that it's not co-president, it's co-leaders.
Yeah.
I wonder what that means right there. But yeah, I mean, Blizzard and Activision, I believe they both put out statements about it, like press releases. I'm pretty sure this is just the article, but the article here I know does or should have a link to the Blizzard website where Blizzard's own statement is about it and all. And I think J. Allen Brack, he commented on it at some point as well. But if I'm right, like in the statements, it's more like, yeah, he's leaving to, pursue other opportunities. Nothing in regards to saying he like feels deep regret or anything about the lawsuit or what happened under his watch, what he allowed to happen, what he did and did not do, so on and so forth. Nothing about that. It's more like, yeah, he's stepping down. He's going to do other things. He's going to do other things, and he'll be fine doing those other things. And I'm just like, that's an interesting statement. And I guess maybe legally, because this lawsuit is a thing that's happening right now, maybe they can't say anything too specific, like what we're kind of expecting in a statement like that. Maybe, I don't know, but that was interesting. I was very surprised it happened, though. And as you said, it was something that needed to happen.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Something that just kind of popped into my head. Now, I'm not saying this is why. This is just something that I'm speculating. But in our initial conversation about the lawsuit, I think you had put in there that the president role at Blizzard had always been held by white men.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that has something to do with why they are not called co-presidents, because Jen O'Neill is co-leader?
I don't think so. I don't think that's part of it. I think her being a co-leader is partially because of everything that's, because every position the position's always been held by a white guy. I think that's part of it. I don't know anything about Jen O'Neill. I'm not trying to take away from any of her credentials or anything like that. I'm sure she probably has the credentials that like make her suitable for the position. Not trying to take away from that at all.
Yeah.
I'm also not going to sit here and ignore the fact that her being there, given everything that's happened, is definitely a response to the fact that, hey, kind of had a light shown on us that there's only been white guys in this position. But I mean, the co-leader thing as opposed to co-president, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe some studios I would be surprised if some studios do co-leader instead of co-president as a term usage. Because I know Naughty Dog does co-presidents, but I don't, maybe in Blizzard's lingo, they don't use the word co-presidents. It's just co-leaders. If there's only one person as president, maybe. I don't know. That's above my head, above my pay grade, above my field of knowledge.
Yeah. Like I say, I have no inner knowledge of Blizzard or what their decision is to what anything is. It's just, like I say, something that popped into my head that I thought might have been an interesting question.
Yeah.
Next up, HR executive Jesse Meshuk, I think.
I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Has also left the company. Again, needed to happen. If there is one thing that has been proven by this entire lawsuit, is that the HR or HR at Blizzard is less than reliable, to put it very politely.
Pretty sure this also happened the same day that J. Allen Brack left.
Mm-hmm. Now, this one I was very, very happy to see. Activision Blizzard employees form a coalition called the ABK Workers Alliance, and they reject the company's third-party law firm choice. This I was very happy.
Hale law firm.
Yes. They have. Sorry, I'm reading through the statement from them just now because I think there is something in here. Sorry, give me 2 seconds. Well, I'll edit this part out.
No, it's fine. It's fine. They did put out the ABK, when they put out a statement that they sent to Activision executives and everyone, basically saying, "Hey, we are here. We're here because we want change in the company for the employees, for everybody." And then they also say, we don't agree with your choice on law firm, and here is the breakdown of why we don't agree with it. And they listed out their reasons. It's a fair, I don't want to say fair, lengthy or anything, but like there's some length to their statement, which is why obviously we're not reading the entire thing here. If you want to read it, by all means, go look it up. But yeah, it was, as you said, Keiran, I was like, good on them. Good for you guys.
Yeah. I'm not going to read the entire statement because it is very lengthy. But there's a couple of things I wanted to pull from it. One, there was an open letter. I think it was to do with a statement was signed by more than 3,000 current employees at Blizzard, which is great. Which is basically a third of their entire staff, which is phenomenal response.
Right.
The second thing was I wanted to bring up a couple of points as to why they are rejecting WilmerHale as the law firm, and it's mainly to do with Blizzard's pre-existing relationship with WilmerHale. So reading from their statement saying, quote, Activision Blizzard has already been a client of WilmerHale, who you used to dispute the diverse candidate search policy proposed by the AFL-CIO Reserve Fund and UAW Retiree Medical Benefits Trust earlier in 2021. Francis Townsend, is known to have relationships with multiple partners at WilmerHale, including former FBI Director Robert Mueller. WilmerHale has a history of discouraging workers' rights and collective action. WilmerHale states on their public website that their services include advising on union awareness and avoidance. And there was one more. Here we go. WilmerHale used anti-collective action tactics in their work with Amazon and Uber. In media portfolios, WilmerHale is regularly referred to as a union-busting firm. We are already seeing the effects of this ideology in actions that leadership has taken to restrict our freedom of association since last week, including reducing the size of listening sessions and limiting access to those sessions, end quote. Which is basically everything I wanted to pull from their statement. I 100% stand with them with this, because there was stuff in here that I didn't know about, like Francis Townsend having pre-existing relationships with people at WilmerHale. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I 100% stand with them that it's very good. They've spoken up saying this is not anywhere near an adequate response to one, their demands, but two, the current situation at Blizzard. They need to change the law firm. It was not a good call.
Yeah. Agreed. Again, everything that they're doing here, I'm just like, yes, do that. Do the thing. You guys, I'm 100% behind them on this, on everything.
Yep. Moving on down this kind of list of things that have happened. Activision Blizzard had an earnings call following the lawsuit, but don't really address the lawsuit, with only 2 questions being asked about it.
Yeah. I mean, I really put these 2 things here because, I mean, the stories here for them, they kind of get in the weeds about them and all. So like, I didn't think we'd really talk about them. I was just giving more so just like, this did happen. And like the next one goes hand in hand with it, which again, like Blizzard's co-lead Jen O'Neill, she gave a statement. Her first statement during this earnings call. And it was in response to this question, basically saying, you know, with everything that's been going on, morale at the company is most probably low. What do you guys intend to do, you know, to boost, like, you know, to help everyone get through this, but also improve the company going forward? And she kind of like gave a statement, was like, yeah, like, you know, I look around and everyone is really passionate about Blizzard and has passion behind, like, you know, the games that they're working on, and the games that everyone's working on, they're doing great. They're doing just fine. And it was like a non-answer essentially. And it was outside of these 2 questions that were asked during the earnings call. No one addressed it at all, addressed the lawsuit. It was just like, okay, that's that. And we'll continue to talk about the games. You know, that was really it. Yeah. I think it's just, I mean, yes, it's an earnings call with the shareholders and investors that they care about the money more so than anything. They're not really, I don't necessarily expect them to really ask about the lawsuit, but given how big it is, I'm surprised that only 2 questions were asked about the lawsuit and nothing more, especially given that especially with the word given.
Yeah. I mean, like you say, it's an earnings call. I wouldn't really expect in-depth discussion about the lawsuit, but I do find it strange that only 2 questions were asked.
Right, with non-answers essentially.
Yeah. Activision has given an update on Overwatch 2 and Diablo Immortal. I didn't see anything to do with Diablo Immortal, but the update they gave for Overwatch 2 was kind of like, I mean, similar to our last thing, is like a non-update, because as far as I'm aware, they just said that it's past a key internal milestone with no information as to what that is.
Yeah, they said that, and Diablo Immortal is coming out the first half of next year. So, yeah. I mean, again, these are the things that happened during that earnings call. Like, nothing, like, talked about Call of Duty as well, but like, this is what the earnings call was really about. We didn't really get anything else. It's just like, okay, well, I mean, didn't need to know this, but I mean, you get what I mean. They want to know about it, but this isn't what everyone else really cares about in the moment.
Yeah. Frances Townsend is stepped down as executive sponsor of the ABK Women's Network. Probably the right move.
Right.
So the Overwatch League is potentially losing sponsors. I know that T-Mobile has already pulled out of the Overwatch League, and the Call of Duty esports tournament as well. They have already pulled out and said they're not sponsoring anymore.
Right. I know like Coca-Cola, and there's another one I read that like are like reassessing what they're gonna do going forward in terms of the Overwatch League and all. So I mean, again, with maybe then with them just if more sponsors start to pull out, maybe then more change will start to happen more rapidly. Who knows? But the dominoes, as we said before, the money, hit them with the money, and that's when you'll start to most likely really see change. And the dominoes have slowly started to fall. They slowly started to fall, and I'm hoping that they keep on falling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's something that I was going to bring up was like probably the biggest way to get Activision Blizzard's attention is for, or one of them at least, is for sponsors to start pulling out their esports events, because that's huge amounts of dollars. So
yeah,
I think they're going to start to take notice of that if more people start pulling out.
Yeah.
And last thing, a report on how Blizzard's frat boy culture came to be was published by Bloomberg. I haven't seen this, so I'm probably not going to go into it just because wouldn't be able to talk about it. But if you want to find out more about that, then you can go to Bloomberg's site or just Google, I imagine, Bloomberg Blizzard frat boy culture, and it should pop up.
Yeah, I forgot what it was titled, but of course, our man Jason, car's honking. Our man Jason Schreier out here, he talked to, I forgot how many employees he said. I believe he said it was mostly or all women that he talked to over the past 2 weeks, and kind of just gave an idea of like, hey, like this is a culture that's kind of like it slowly started from the beginning of Blizzard's like existence and like really started to come into its own and fester once BlizzCon started and started to like come on up, because then, you know, like the employees there, they were like, they kind of saw the women that will come to BlizzCon as like groupies in a sense. They saw themselves as rock stars, and it's just going from there. That's how we get to where we are right now. So definitely go give it a read. Of course, it's as with everything regarding this, it's all very fascinating, interesting. There was like a Washington Post article, probably another report on like a similar vein as to the Bloomberg one that I have not read yet. That came out this week as well. So, you know, look up Washington Post, Blizzard, Activision, something in the past couple days, you're bound to like come across the article. I don't remember what it's called because I actually have not read it yet, but I have it in my history. I need to go read it.
Yes, that is, as of recording, all of the new stuff coming out of Activision Blizzard that we have seen this week. I'm sure we'll see more. We are not going to be done talking about this story anytime soon.
Yeah, we're not at all. And it's like, you know, like we said last week, we'll keep on talking about it, keep on covering, you know, any new updates and everything as they come on out. You know, this week, you know, whenever things happen with it, it's not going to be the thing we talk about for the entire episode or like half the episode, like the past 2 weeks. Like the first week, obviously that was going to be the story.
Oh yeah.
And last week with the walkout and everything that happened, again, the like it was just going to be a focal point of the episode. As you see this week, there's a lot of stuff that happened, more so some big things mixed in with small things, but there's not much more we can say about the situation that we haven't already over the past 2 weeks. And we don't want to just keep beating a dead horse for half a podcast episode. But, you know, of course, if anything big or noteworthy happens that we have new information and new things to say about, we'll happily say that and talk about it. That all being said, my final thoughts on this right here is I'm happy that we're seeing people leave positions and get removed from the company and all. I'm happy seeing sponsors start to step on out. I'm happy to see, you know, the Blizzards form their coalition and, you know, like push back against the WilmerHale law firm choice. I'm happy with all those things. I don't want the pressure to be let up from the employees over there. No. I don't want Activision, like the executives over at Activision and Blizzard, to start to feel complacent and feel like, all right, the news cycle is starting to dry up on this. We're kind of in the clear now. We could kind of like, we don't have to really be too worried. I don't want that to happen. I definitely want, I hope that this stays in people's minds, and I hope that change continues to be pushed for and fought for, not just there, but again, across the industry, because like I've said many times, and like we both agreed, feel like this is the turning point. This is the start of a major change for the industry. And if this falls apart and nothing comes of this, then what does that mean for the rest of the industry?
Yeah. I again, similar to last week, Tyler coming out with just the very nice bows to wrap things up with.
That's what I'm here for.
You're the bow man. I'm the segue man.
I got the segue sometimes too.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Brain, come up with a segue to the next story.
See, look at that. You don't got one. I got one. You want me to say it? That way it works for us?
Sure.
So we're going to move from one troubled company over to another one, except this one is not as big. It is a smaller developer. That developer being Fullbright, the developer behind Gone Home. Keiran.
Pretty good segue. Well done.
That's why I put it like this in the doc.
Yes. So as Tyler so beautifully segued into this story, developer Fullbright has been going through some difficult times in terms of, similar stuff to Blizzard, that people there have been accused of not treating their employees fairly, or, with a modicum of decency, apparently. So studio co-founder Steve Gaynor accused of treating employees poorly, specifically women. The team is currently working on Open Roads, a game about a mother and daughter going on a road trip adventure together. Prior to the story going live, the Open Road Twitter account had tweeted a statement. Real quick, is this in yellow, the statement?
No. So the statement is linked here.
Okay.
The report is by Polygon. The person who did this whole report is Nicole Carpenter. It's a great report. If you haven't read it, go read it. The stuff, just like last time when I kind of had stuff highlighted in yellow, the stuff highlighted in yellow, Keiran, is what the author wrote. So like, again, motorcycles and dirt bikes, I hate them on my block. I hate this time of year because they just like have no chill at all.
Yeah, I was going to say they seem to wait until we record.
Wait till late at night as well. It's annoying. No, so the stuff in yellow is copy pasted from the article. That's just what the author was writing.
Gotcha.
So that's what they're saying, and then differentiating it from the other quotes here that clearly have the quote mark around them, which is the quote. Those ones are like, this is what the person was saying, not what the author said. Follow?
Yes, I am with you.
Coolio.
Okay, so from the Polygon article, quote, development on Open Roads, which was announced in December 2020 and expected to star Carrie Russell from The Americans and Caitlin Dever from Booksmart, is behind schedule. 15 employees have left the studio since development on Open Roads began in 2019. Around 6 staff members remain. Speaking with Polygon, 12 former employees said the departure was at least in part due to Gaynor's behavior towards workers, specifically women on the team. At least 10 of the employees who left since Open Roads production began were women. Multiple former employees who spoke with Polygon anonymously out of fear of retaliation described the Fullbright work environment as controlling, a place in which staff felt undermined and demeaned by Gaynor. Because of Gaynor's status as the co-founder of a beloved indie darling, some former employees said they were worried about being blacklisted from the industry, though some ended up leaving the industry entirely anyway. These former employees said they did not experience or witness sexual harassment or explicit sexism. Instead, they said that studio's toxic culture hid behind the veneer of inclusivity, as women were allegedly repeatedly broken down by microaggressions. End quote. Disgusting. I hate hearing about this stuff at any studio. I mean, we were talking about like it's bad enough that like the biggest one of the biggest companies in the industry, Blizzard, has had a bunch of stuff come out. This goes to show that it doesn't matter the size of your company. It doesn't matter how in the public limelight your company is, or your game or whatever you're making. This happens across multiple industries, multiple companies, multiple levels. It's I said this when we were talking about Blizzard stuff. I genuinely just don't understand how people don't have human decency towards one another.
Yeah. And it's like, I saw after this, when this story went live, well, because first, like we said, the Open Roads Twitter, they put out a statement prior to the article going live in which they said, reading from this statement, quote, "We are a small team passionate about making an inclusive, poignant, story-driven game that gives players a feeling of discovery. We care deeply about creating games that have a positive impact. We are also fervent believers in fostering a work environment that is healthy and collaborative, where we can work with transparency, autonomy, and trust. As such, Fullbright's co-founder Steve Gaynor has stepped back from his role as creative lead and manager and transitioned to a role as a writer, handing off day-to-day responsibilities to the team to complete Open Roads. We're all excited by how the game is shaping up, and we hope you'll follow along as we continue to share our progress." So after this went up, I don't know how long before the story. I think it went up like a few hours before the story went live on Polygon. And when it went up, people were like, "Wait, what? Huh?" And then when the story came out, everyone that I was, all the industry people that I follow, they were just like in shock and taken aback that this could happen at a small studio, at an indie studio, and at this one specifically, just because of the attachment that they have to Gone Home and Tacoma, what they thought the studio was. And when I read it, I was just like I said, doesn't matter how big or doesn't matter how big or how small, assume that terrible stuff happens at every company until proven otherwise. Just assume, no matter what the company is, no matter where it is. And while yes, here in Fullbright's case, it's not sexual assault or sexual harassment. It's none of that. It's more so like mental, emotional, psychological abuse in terms of talking down to you. Not, I guess, looking down on your employees, specifically the women at your company, or yeah, I guess you could say specifically the women at the company, looking down on them and feeling as if no one at the company is as good as you or knows what they're talking about. And it's just like, no, you're not this, you're not God, okay? Get off your high horse. Again, sorry if you hear about motorcycles and dirt bikes. It's summertime in New York, and people just love to drive the dirt bikes and motorcycles down my block. I hate them. It's annoying.
Were you finished speaking?
Yeah, I was. That was
okay.
I think I had like something else to say, but that was a fine stopping point for it.
Yeah.
Because whatever else I was gonna say, I can say later on too.
Yeah. I will say that I like we said before the episode, I didn't hear about this when it came out. This is the first time hearing of it. But from their statement that they put on Twitter, not the correct response. Moving him to a writer's role. Fire him. Get him out.
Yeah, I wonder like why he didn't get fired or why he was just reduced to a writer's role. I think it's maybe actually I don't want to say I think it is this because that implies that I might have some type of knowledge or insight into way companies work, and I don't. But maybe it's because they might think that there's a chance that like he could redeem himself or become better in some capacity. Maybe it has to do with legalities or contractual things in terms of like his ownership of the company, and like they just can't like force him out like that. I'm not quite sure. So yeah, it is interesting that that he wasn't like straight up removed from the company.
Yeah.
But I think it is good that he stepped down from his creative lead and managerial position and is in a spot now where he's not in contact with them on a day-to-day basis. I think I have it here in one of the things here, but at least I thought I did. Oh, I actually didn't even highlight this the proper way. Crazy. But event like Annapurna like was made aware of what was going on, and they like act as the mediator between Gainer and the team over at Fullbright.
Okay.
That way, you know, things can still get done.
Yeah.
And we'll at the very end of this, like we'll pull up his statement because he sent Polygon a statement after the article went live, and it's in the article. So we'll read that after we go through everything here.
Cool. So reading on down our doc, the team started as just 4 in 2013, more than doubled with Tomoka in 2017, and has stayed.
That was supposed to be Tacoma. I spelled the game's name wrong.
And since has stayed at no more than 20 since then. Another quote from the article saying, quote, women in leadership positions at Fullbright told Polygon that they experienced constant micromanagement that made it difficult for them to do their jobs, having to get even the smallest details approved by Gainer. This was compounded, they said, by Gainer's tendency to disparage and discredit the contributions of female staffers in particular, often directly to leadership. Some of the former female staffers said they were often worried about how Gainer characterized them to other employees. Former employees described the studio at that time as close-knit, with the team members who supported each other. They took pride in creating games that resonated with marginalized people, like Gone Home, a coming-of-age story about a teenage lesbian. But at the same time, a former employee said they also felt stifled by Gainer's controlling and demeaning presence. Someone who allegedly saw Open Roads not as the team's game, but as his game. That Gainer himself was Fullbright. End quote.
Yeah, and it's like, again, like I said before, you just because you're Gone Home. I've never played Gone Home, but I have heard all the acclaim about it, and I've thought about playing it. It's one of those that like I would like to, it's way in the back burner. But regardless, no matter how highly acclaimed your game is, no matter how big of a breakout it is for you and your team, that doesn't make you just like become the Prince of Egypt. That doesn't make you become the one who's like, I am the company. I am you don't become that person. You don't become the ones just come in and say, you know, just to step on people's ideas or to, as they say here, people have to get the smallest details of approval from him. And he's discrediting people's contributions, particularly the female staff. Like, you don't get to do that just because your game was a breakout hit at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we've ever actually spoken about this on the podcast, but originally, yes, it was my idea to start a podcast. I in no way, shape, or form and okay, Tyler, this is how we're doing things. This is my podcast. We're doing it this way. You don't get to say that's not publicly how we run things. I tell Tyler what to do all the time, but
that is a joke.
Yes,
everyone that is not clear, it's a joke. Making that very clear.
Yeah. But no, every decision that we make, if you want to do something, usually, or you consult me. If I want to do something, we consult you. We sit down, we quite often have conversations about what we're doing. So in my head, I don't see any other way of running a company than that. I can't imagine criticizing somebody's every single move they ever want to make a company.
Oh, keep talking. My my ring light, my battery for my portable charger died, so I'm changing my plug-in for it.
Yeah. But it's I genuinely can't, my brain doesn't compute other ways of running a company than that. Yes, you might be the CEO or the president or the whatever you want to call yourself, person in charge, but if I was in that position, I wouldn't be okay, if you don't like that we're doing it this way, then you can leave. If the world didn't have constructive criticism, it would be a very boring place. That I don't understand people who that might be a little bit extreme, but I I like to think I'm quite good at taking constructive criticism. I think everyone should be, because how are you going to learn anything? How are you going to grow? How are you going to make something successful if all you ever want to hear is that, oh, you're doing a great job. Oh, I love it. Oh, it's great. When your product is
Right.
terrible.
Right.
Like that doesn't compute to me. And that sounds like what Ginner's management style was, is like he wants to hear that, like, his game is the best, his game is so good. But in the end, like, if he releases that game and it's bad, then he's not going to blame himself, is he? He's going to blame all the staff for not speaking up, but like before the game release. So like this has gone on a super long tangent. I didn't expect it to go on, but I genuinely don't understand people who are that closed minded about like running a company, running a team, running a brand, that like they can't take feedback, and it has to be done their way. There is no it's a concrete way of doing things. They have to do it their way. It's getting done. I don't understand people like that.
Right. And like, that's actually, before we move on, because I think this is like a nice way to end this kind of portion right here before we move on to the next part of the stuff. There's a quote here from someone who worked at Fullbright saying, quote, "This is going to sound like a joke, but I'm completely serious. Working for him often felt like working for a high school mean girl," one former employee in a leadership position told Polygon. "His go-to weapon was to laugh at people's opinions and embarrass them in front of other people," end quote. Like, you don't get to do that. That's completely unacceptable in every way, shape, and form. It just is. That it, again, like I said, demeaning, talking down to people, looking down on them. But like, that also does that's also terrible for people's just like emotional and mental health entirely. It just is. It makes them feel like they're worthless, like they're nothing. And if that's your goal to try and if that's what you need to do and what you feel like is necessary to put yourself up and make you feel good about yourself, you need to really reevaluate who you are as a person and reevaluate your beliefs and what matters to you and your morals and how you treat people.
Yeah, I mean, my old boss was exactly like that. It's the entire reason I left my last job, was because the management, especially like the area manager, would just like belittle you and scream at you and rule by fear, basically. So like, if I will say to anyone who is in a situation like that, don't be afraid to speak to someone, or in any case, just leave. Like, nothing holds you to that company. It's not like if you stop working there, then you're never gonna work again. Like,
yeah,
toxic people in management don't realize they're toxic until everyone starts telling them that they are, and even then, it sometimes doesn't matter. So, like I say, the only way that I thought I was able to get out of that situation was leave, which has made me a much happier person. So, like I say, if you're in that position, take it from somebody who has maybe not been in that exact circumstance, but has worked for somebody toxic. If you leave, you will be happier, most likely.
And you said something that reminded me. There's a portion of the articles. Again, I didn't grab everything from the article. I kind of like grabbed certain things. But there's a portion of the article where there's a game coming out called Seasons. I forgot what the developer is, but last year reports came out that the development team, toxic, all just bad work environment because of the higher ups and all. And there's a portion in the Polygon report where one of the employees, they saying to Polygon here, they're saying that when they read that report about what happened at Seasons, they saw a lot of similarities to what was going on at their company. Granted, nothing in regards to sexual harassment, sexual assault, but just in terms of like toxicity and all like that. And they mentioned it to Steve Gaynor. They confronted him directly and was like, "Hey, I see similarities between our two companies, and I would hate for there to be a story written about us and written about you and how things are going here." And he basically kind of like brushed it off as if it was nothing, as if it was nothing to worry about. And he found this Wikipedia article about some word, I forgot what it was. And then basically came back to them and told them, it's in the article. Actually, I'm going to pull it up right now. I'm going to pull that specific section up because I don't want to butcher it. And I know exactly where it is in here too. It's not too far down from here. Not too far. Here we go. So I'm going to read right from the article here. Um, so read from the article. They say Gaynor told her that publisher Annapurna had come to ask him about Fulbright's attrition problem. Because side note here, this is not from the article. Me talking here. Because of his leadership, many women just straight up left the company. There was a whole lot of people leaving the company in like a 1-2 year span. So Annapurna had come to ask him about Fulbright's attrition problem. That's the article here. Particularly that women were leaving the company on what seemed like a monthly basis. The next day, the employee who had approached Gaynor said he sent her a link to a Wikipedia article on availability heuristics. On Wikipedia, availability heuristics is described as a, quote, mental shortcut that relies on immediate examples that come to mind when evaluating a specific topic, concept, method, or decision, end quote. So then that employee says here, quote, he sent me the link to explain to me that when there's a shark attack on the news, people start to get more scared that they might get attacked by a shark, she said. So I wasn't actually valid in worrying that we could have an article about his behavior, end quote. She reported this interaction to the consultant, who reportedly said that Steve's impact did not match his intent. Regardless of whether or not what you said, whether or not what you meant to say is actually like means the same thing as what you said, regardless, you're mansplaining in the worst way possible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and on top of that, she has every reason to be worried and concerned that a story will be written about the company and you, and she's trying to help you. She doesn't want that to happen, but you're over here too busy on your high horse and just demeaning people. And it's disgusting. Doesn't help that, doesn't help that he's, this, I guess you could say, quote unquote, privileged white guy. That doesn't help matters at all in any way, shape, or form in like the perception of this. But that's the situation.
Yeah, no, I'm going to continue reading. My brain malfunctioned for a second. So reading again from the Polygon article saying, quote, following the mass exodus of Fullbright employees in 2020 and 2021, the leads remaining at the company were tasked with hiring new employees. Two sources told Polygon that they were hesitant to hire the qualified, talented women who applied for the roles out of fear of how they'd be treated by Gaynor. Former employees had seen what they perceived as a pattern of young women early in their careers being broken down by their time under Gaynor at Fullbright. Multiple sources told Polygon they feared that the even more promising talent would be driven out of the industry like others. Some former employees described themselves as, quote, changed following their time at Fullbright. Many have questioned their abilities, describing their experience with Gaynor as having been gaslit, and have sought out therapy to deal with the trauma associated with Fullbright's company culture and development on open roads. Former employees in leadership described, quote, intense guilt in leaving the company, saying, quote, leaving the team to fend for themselves, end quote. And then another quote from the article?
This is a quote from a former employee right here.
So former employee said, quote, we were constantly acting as a buffer between Steve and the rest of the team just so they could actually get any sort of work done without being pulled into hours of meetings where everything was nitpicked to death or ultimately reversed, end quote. And then I'll just finish this off. The final quote, or did you want to talk about that stuff before we move on to the final quote?
So I mean, we've kind of said a lot of the same things about how Steve Gaynor over here just feeling like it's okay, to treat his employees like this, specifically the women at the company. And while it's not okay to treat anybody like this, it's especially not okay to treat women like this. And let me stop on that level. It's not okay to treat women like this because women already get treated poorly just for being women, no matter where they are. They're already looked down on as being not equal, not as smart, not as important, so on and so forth. Just because they're a woman, they're not a man. Now, I imagine in the tech realm, whether it be gaming, tech development, what have you, in the tech space, I'm sure this problem is compounded even more because generally, it's guys who are, doing all the tech stuff. That's generally the faces that you see and all like that. it's not general. It's not common for you to know of or you to see a woman as the face behind something in the technology, in the tech field, whether it be gaming, iPhones, laptops, computers, so on and so forth, whatever it may be. So treating your female employees like this in the gaming space, a space that's, like, games are supposed to be fun and inviting for people, a place, games should be a way to escape from the real world or a way to experience new stories from the real world. And people, they're really passionate about stories. They want to come in and tell new stories and make new fun experiences for people to play and enjoy. And there are many women out there that are gamers and stuff. So to treat women like this in the gaming space and shut them down and make them just question themselves and feel like they're not good enough, it's absolutely terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And then you have the I guess you could say the hiring people say, like, even worrying about hiring more female employees that are more than qualified, but they don't want them to end up having to deal with the way he treats people. And it's like, it's sad that is even like a thought in their mind.
Yeah. So I pulled up something because something you said, I wanted to kind of go off of. It doesn't really have anything to do with Fullbright, but it's to do with the statistics of women who work in tech, as in like an overall thing. So I'm reading from a CIO.com article, which says women make up 47% of all employed adults in the US, but as of 2015, they hold only 25% of computing roles, according to data from the National Center for Women and Information Technology, NCWIT. Of the 25% of women working in tech, Asian women make up just 5% of that number, while Black and Hispanic women accounted for just 3% and 1% respectively. End quote. That's, like, in terms of like everyone who works in tech, that's really not a high number, especially when you get down to minorities. That's like, as much as I realize that like me saying stuff isn't going to change anything, like I would love to see that number a lot higher, because like I don't understand that this is like, a men's space, men work in tech. I don't understand that. Like, if you're able to code, if you're able to do whatever and do it well, then it's the same motto I have for everything. Is like, if the only thing that matters is your ability to do the job. So I would love to see that number just skyrocket in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. Which I think is a nice segue into this next thing right here.
Yes. So the final quote from this kind of Fullbright story says, quote, it turns my stomach to think that he still gets to write these games about women's stories when this is how he treats them in real life, with presumably no sign of stopping, one former employee said. I want women in the industry and this studio to feel valued. I want vulnerable young women who are new to the industry to be supported, not preyed upon. I want women to not have fear of retaliation.
Have to fear.
Yeah. I want women to not have to fear retaliation from a powerful auteur. My brain right now is not functioning correctly, and I don't know why. Auteur figure for speaking up. I want women to feel safe here. I want women to know that this is not normal. More than anything, I just want him to stop. He shouldn't be allowed to keep getting away with this. End quote. I mean, like I think I said either last week or the week before, there should be like an industry blacklist of like, if you are caught doing anything in the realm that could be considered as like something along these lines or something that's going on at Blizzard, then you are fired and you are put on the blacklist, and that blacklist is agreed upon by Sony, Microsoft, Blizzard, Activision, EA, Ubisoft, Square, basically every company across gaming. You will not be hired, because one of the only ways you are going to get people like this to stop is to put genuine fear into them that if they are caught doing this, then they will not work in this industry again. That is one of which sounds severe, but for what these people are putting other people through, it is deserved. That sounds harsh. That sounds like the basic thing I can boil it down to is cancel culture, right? Where if somebody says one thing wrong, they get canceled. In certain circumstances, it's appropriate, and it is here for people who treat other people like this, not fairly, not equally, not with any decency or rights whatsoever. You do not deserve to work in this industry, or any industry for that matter. It doesn't, like we had said when we first started talking about this, it doesn't matter the side. Like Tyler has said, assume that it happens everywhere until proven otherwise. There is no room for anything like this in any industry.
Yeah. He needs. For him, I'm of the mindset that I'm hoping that he takes this time to really reevaluate stuff and reevaluate himself. And I think I mean, this me being optimistic, I'm hoping that he is, because I'm going to read a statement here that he issued after the story came out. He said to Polygon, he said in the statement that he gave to Polygon, quote, "Hi all, I have a statement to share about my role at Fullbright. Earlier this year, I stepped back from my role as creative lead on Open Roads. My leadership style was hurtful to people that worked at Fullbright, and for that, I truly apologize. Stepping back has given me space and perspective to see how my role needs to change and how I need to learn and improve as part of a team, including working with an expert management consultant and rethinking my relationship to the work at Fullbright. I care deeply about Open Roads and the Fullbright team. I'm sad to have stepped back from day-to-day development of Open Roads, but it's been the right thing to do. The Open Roads team has my full faith and support as they bring the game to completion," end quote. And that right there gives me hope that he, like I said, that he can reevaluate things, fix himself, fix everything that he did wrong, and not just atone for everything he did before, because there's no way that you can make it up to all the women that you destroyed in the past. You can't do that. But you can try and atone for what you've done and ensure that you don't do that to other people going forward, and that no one else suffers the same treatment. That's what you can do. And I'm hoping that he can do this. I don't think that this is like a sexual assault or harassment situation where it's like, yeah, buddy, you're kind of screwed. There's no way you can come back from this. I think this is a case where he can come back, but if he comes back into like a leadership position and continues to do this, then it's like you're a lost cause. You're done. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just my personal view on this based on what he said and everything that's going on.
Yeah. I think I definitely have a more cynical outlook on it than you do, because I look at that statement and right now I'm just like, it's just talk. You need to,
and it could be. It could very well just be talk. I don't want to discount that at all, but I'm also being like hopeful that okay, maybe you mean this. If you really do mean this, put in the work. Show us that you're putting in the work, and show us that you want better and that you will do better and actively are doing better going forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there is every possibility that he could change in the future. I'm not saying that, he's a lost cause from the outset, but yeah, whenever I read statements like this, I'm always just like, until I see actual implemented change to prove that you have done the work to make yourself better, make your company better, whatever it may be, then I'm taking that statement with like a Mount Everest of salt.
Huh.
And Mount Everest is never going to have looked so good in the new PSVR 2. Segue.
Well, it works. It works. Moving on, yes, from the sad news to PSVR 2 news.
Yes. So new reports on PSVR 2 specs have come out. I am reading from an IGN article written by Matt Perslow, saying, quote, "Sony has reportedly expressed a desire to focus on console quality AAA titles for PSVR 2, rather than continuing the VR experience style of games seen on the original PSVR. YouTube channel PSVR Without Parole reports that Sony recently held a private event for potential PSVR 2 developers, where the company said that it would like to move away from VR experiences and focus on console quality AAA games. Sony reportedly plans to achieve this by creating, quote, hybrid games that can be played in both VR and the standard on-screen way, similar to how IO Interactive created the optional VR mode for Hitman 3. The plan would be allowed. The plan would allow. No, the plan would be to allow players to download either the standard or VR version of the game. The report notes that nothing was mentioned in regard to backwards compatibility, but Sony confirmed that it will push for original PSVR games to be remastered for the new hardware. Beyond Sony's plans for the game, the company also revealed a few more technical specs for its new VR hardware, which is reportedly internally known as NGVR or Next Generation VR. These match information that was previously leaked. The display panel inside the headset has a resolution of 4000 by 2080 pixels, 2000 by 2040 per eye, and a field of view angle of 110 degrees. This puts it at 10 degrees higher than the original PSVR. The system also apparently is capable of flexing scaling resolution and will concentrate resources on the player's area of focus to help reduce strain with the PSVR's available power. And then it will also ship with the new controllers that were announced back in March. And previous leaks have suggested that the device will launch around holiday 2022, with PSVR without parole claiming that Sony will reveal the launch details in early 2022. End quote. A lot of information, but PSVR is shaping up to be quite impressive by the sounds of it. I'm very curious to see what they are going to do in terms of making AAA quality exclusives for PSVR 2 like you would get on a console. One thing that I did want to point out, Power says the plan would be to allow players to download either the standard or VR version of a game. It's not a new thing. You can do this on PC. You can download. So like the one that immediately comes to mind is Elite Dangerous. You can download the just like monitor Elite Dangerous experience, or you can download a VR version for use with like Oculus, HTC Vive, something like that. But nonetheless, this device is sounding better every time I hear about it.
Yeah, I'm very excited by PSVR 2. Again, I would love to get PSVR 2. Just tell me the price isn't too crazy.
Yeah.
Just tell me this games are going to be there and I'll jump on in it for sure. I think it's great that they are trying to focus on console quality AAA games as opposed to more like the experiential type of AAA, not AAA, but the experiential type of VR games that we're used to seeing, not just on PSVR, but like even in just the VR space in general. Most of them, like, yeah, there are some AAA ones, like Half-Life Alyx as like the tentpole standout AAA one, but most of them are more like experiential type games. They're not like, your Resident Evil 7, which you could play it normally, but you could also do it in VR. Hitman 3 has the optional VR mode too. If we can get more console quality type AAA games like that for VR, then that breaks down the barrier of VR being seen as like, oh, that's just like experience type thing. There aren't any real games on VR. Like if you can knock down that barrier and put out more games for PSVR 2 that can be played in VR or like normally, that automatically makes it more appealing. I think that'll make it more appealing to more people and make it seem like less of a niche thing and more just like an alternate way to play the games that you already like. And I think that's what PSVR 2 needs and VR as a whole needs to really start thriving.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree. They need to start putting, I don't want to say higher quality games because you can get pretty high quality games on VR right now on something like the Quest 2 or even the original PSVR. But in terms of, I think they need to start putting, closer to that AAA realm than like, there's either like you can have a AAA VR game, but there's a difference between a AAA game and a AAA VR game. So I think the sooner they can start bridging that gap, the sooner people are going to start, like you say, just fully kind of accepting VR is not so much a experience thing where like it's, like I could get it down the road, but it's not really going to give me anything that my PS5 can't. Whereas with something like this, I think it's like, yes, you could play the game regularly, but the PSVR 2 is going to give you that experience that's like beyond anything you've seen on PlayStation before.
Now, the only, I think it's funny in a really negative way. The use of they say they want to have more console quality AAA games on PSVR 2. The last time they said that a device was going to give you console quality AAA games was the PS Vita. Look what happened. That thing did not get the support it deserved, and it died. I sincerely hope that they're actually going to back the PSVR 2 up with, quality games and everything. I really hope they do. And even if like the PSVR 2 doesn't hit, like, PSVR, the original, hit its audience and it hit enough for them to say, you know what, we believe it. Let's do some more VR. We believe in it. We want to push the genre, but we want to push the field and the industry more in the VR space. I really hope that they stick by PSVR 2 enough where like we're seeing games come to it, on a fairly consistent basis. We're seeing them actually back it up and actually promote it and all like that. Enough for us to possibly get a PSVR 3. I would love for that to happen, but they cannot PS Vita this. They can't do that. Because that would be bad, not just for PlayStation VR, but I think VR as a whole as well.
I have an interesting question for you.
What's that?
Which do you think comes out first, PSVR 2 or Apple VR?
PSVR 2, out of question, without a doubt.
Fair enough.
Not even a conversation. That's just going to come first. We might hear about Apple's thingy before PSVR 2 comes out, but PSVR 2 is coming out first. That's just happening. Okay.
You heard it here first, folks. Tyler.
I don't believe Apple's thing is coming out before the end of next year. No way. No way that's happening. Like, and PSVR 2 isn't even confirmed for end of next year, but like it's speculated and rumored that they're aiming for holiday next year. Apple's thing is not coming out holiday next year. It's not.
Moving on to our final story. Battlefield is becoming more of a live service game, with EA doubling down on live service games. I'm going to open this Battlefield article. Written
we don't
by...
really need to open the other one. It was just like a supplementary thing.
Written by Joseph Knoop for IGN, saying, quote, EA CEO Andrew Wilson told investors, "You should think of Battlefield as a service," indicating the direction the popular first-person multiplayer shooter will take with the upcoming Battlefield 2042. A quote from Wilson at the investors call on Wednesday saying, quote, I think this is our orientation. I think this.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, I think that is our orientation. But more important, I think you should think of Battlefield as a service, end quote. Again, brain not working properly. Notably, EA did not clarify whether or not the Battlefield franchise will release every other year like previous entries. The implication is that EA will continue to treat Battlefield like an ongoing ecosystem that sees regular updates. Wilson pointed to EA's continuing shift to live service-focused games for the future throughout the investors' call, saying games like Battlefield 2042 will quote, reinvent what our epic scale games are, end quote. Makes sense. EA has been moving to live service games for quite a while now. This honestly doesn't really come as a big shock. I don't think so far I necessarily thought that Battlefield 2042 was going to be a live service game, but I also didn't think it was going to be. I didn't not think it was going to be a live service game. So, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, they in this article, Joseph kind of says with the recent announcement of Battlefield 2042's Portal mode, which allows players to create custom matches combining wildly different eras of Battlefield weaponry and mechanics, it appears EA is hoping user-created content will spur long-term continuous growth for the franchise. So, like, again, makes sense that one way to keep people playing for longer is to introduce something like a map header.
Yeah, and again, I think it is... When Battlefield 5 came out, Battlefield 5 was trying to chase the crowd with the fire team, not the Firestorm, with the Firestorm Battle Royale mode that didn't really, it's funny enough, set the world on fire. Set Battlefield 5 on fire, didn't set the world on fire though. So they've been taking a back seat since then. Like the series hasn't been around since then. Battlefield 2042 is the franchise's big return in a number of ways. Big return to saying, hey, we are a premier first-person shooter in the industry. You should care about us again. It's the return of just the series to the modern day, an era that they haven't been in since the start of the PS3, well, not PS3, PS4 and Xbox One generation with Battlefield 4.
Mm-hmm.
Since then it's been World War One, World War II. We haven't been here. Although it's near future, it's essentially modern day. Stick with me here.
Yeah.
So it's a return in both those ways. And it looks like it's a return to a type of game where it's like, hey, we know you love the multiplayer. Multiplayer is it's our main focus. We're all in on it. We're all in on all out full scale war. And that is what is super exciting about this game. So it makes sense that with this big return, they would also try and have this be a game where it sticks around like a platform in a sense, in a similar way like Overwatch has, although it's getting an Overwatch 2. But like how Halo Infinite is planning to be in a sense, where it's like this. I'm certain there will be more Battlefields come after this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if Battlefield 2042 is the Battlefield from 2021 until 2025. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the one, and we just get new updates for new maps getting added every so often, new areas getting added every so often. They have the portal modes. They can curate different game modes and types of thing people make and everything like that over time, and add new features to the portal mode as well. But also the fact that the game's story, in a sense, the game is set in this. They have like a framework for a story that the game is set in and all. Not having a solid story like campaign just allows them to just add stuff and say it expands on the story over time as the years go on. So I think it's a natural progression for the series, especially with where it is right now, where the gaming space is right now, and where EA is right now. I think it just makes sense. And I'm not the biggest Battlefield fan. I don't think this is something to be worried about just yet, though. No. Like the Battlefield shifting to kind of like a live service type thing. I don't think we need to be worried about that right now. I don't think so.
No, I mean, neither do I. I think a lot of people's first reaction when they hear a game that was previously not like as a service is going as a service, their initial reaction is, it's not going to be as good as it was before, but change isn't like easy for everyone. I think it's just like the underlying thing with that is like I mean, I know when Halo Infinite said it was going to be like as a service as opposed to like iterations of a game, I was a little bit skeptical, but I mean, honestly, it makes sense. I mean, if you look at what like something like Destiny 2's done, where they had their initial story, their initial game, and then they've just iterated upon that year over year over year. I mean, that's really all that is. It gives the teams, they don't have to go and build an entirely new game every time. So dev cycles will most likely be shorter for a few things.
I mean, the skepticism when you hear live service, though, is that there's just going to be barely any content when a game first comes out, and that it's just going to be a grind fest, because live service games are all about getting you coming back playing every single day, all the time. They want that to be the only game you're playing. And people people play live service games. I mean, that's why, Apex, Fortnite, Warzone, they're some of the biggest games out there. Clearly there's a space for them. Clearly people love them, but there's also a lot of people out there that they don't want to have their life be revolving around one game and constantly trying to have to be up to date on it. And, grinding out things to try and unlock other things, and playing the game all right, you get the game day one, but there's not too much content in it because it's live service, so more content is going to be coming in the next month or two, or more content's coming down the road. Those are all the worries that people have when you hear live service, and it's not unfounded. Games like Avengers and the original Destiny, even Destiny 2 to an extent, there are all these live service games out there that have caused people to have this worry and fear in them when they hear a game is live service. Not every game needs to be live service. Not every genre, should be live service and anything like that. The first person shooter space, though, it just makes sense for them in the modern age with what first-person shooters are these days, it makes sense for them to shift more towards a live service type of model in a sense. So it's not surprising that Battlefield is. I don't think it's anything to be worried about right now because everything we've seen and heard sounds amazing. Sounds really cool and fantastic. And I'm very excited to play this game.
Yeah, me as well. Speaking of games that we have been playing and are excited to play.
Good.
Yeah.
You're better.
Yeah. We're going to move on to what we've been playing. I haven't been playing anything this week. Well, that's a lie. I've been playing The Crew 2. I don't have anything to say about it, which is why I don't really have anything down on my list. I did plan for Apex to be down on this list, so that I can talk about like the new guy who,
Seer.
yeah, and like a bit about the new map and everything. My Apex account got banned.
Wow,
for cheating.
Were you out here cheating?
No. I mean, I didn't think I was playing that good.
Well, can you dispute that?
I emailed EA's like accidental ban form they have. So hopefully I'll hear back about that because I just dropped some money into buying Valkyrie and Horizon and the Battle Pass for last season. So I'm hoping that my account isn't, because like in the email I got, it was that your account's been permanently banned. I'm like, oh, okay. Why? So I guess hopefully that's getting resolved soon.
Hopefully, that's annoying.
Yeah. So yeah, other than the, I'm sure it'll get resolved. Like I was reading up on it, and this has happened to quite a few people, and they've just been like, yeah, it took a little bit of time, but I eventually got it revoked.
Okay, that's good.
So yeah, other than The Crew 2 that I don't really have anything to say about, I haven't been playing anything. But Tyler, you have some games on your list. I'm excited to hear about a couple of these actually.
All right, so we finished 2 games this week, both in the same day. We finished Nier Automata Sunday night. I finished. All right, so when I last talked about it, I was doing 9S's story. I was near the end of his story. I finished his storyline for Route B, right? Then you finish it, and then during the credits, you see like this preview of stuff. It's just like, wait, hold on, what the heck is all this happening? What's going on here? So, and then that brings you into the C route, the third playthrough, which continues the story. So you do the third playthrough, and things just hit the fan. Okay, I thought I was in the game, and up to that point, right? I thought I had been in the thick of the game. I had been playing for about 20 something hours. I was like, I'm in this. I'm in the game. The game is real. Things are real. No, clearly I was wrong because things didn't get really real till the third playthrough. I'm doing this third playthrough. Things are hitting the fan. I'm not getting too specific with stuff that happens, but like all types of big battles are going on and stuff. Characters are getting like infected with like this virus. So all these people are like dying. And then one of the main characters dies. I'm not going to say who for those who have not played, but one of the main characters dies in a moment that's actually really sad. I'm like, bro, why is this happening? Can this please not happen? I'm trying to save this person, and it happens. And then someone else sees it happen, but someone else sees the death happen, but they don't know the context behind what's going on and why the death is happening. I'm being vague for a reason. So they're like, what? No, I want to get revenge on you. I'm going to get revenge against that person for like you dying and everything like that. And that person has like a whole mental downhill spiral and stuff. So like the final playthrough, you alternate between playing as 2 different characters. I'm not saying their names, again, spoilers, but you alternate between playing 2 different characters. And like, it's just so sad seeing one of them just have their mental downhill spiral when like they were so much like cheerier and happier prior to all that. It's like, man, like I wanted so much better for you. And then it's like cool seeing the other one get attached to people that like they were never attached. They would have been attached to before and all. But then we see other like side characters just straight up like not die, but essentially die. Like there's one robot side character who like they have a whole robot village, and like what happens with them and their village is legitimately like, bro, what the heck? Like, why did this game get so depressing in a matter of like 3 to 5 hours? Like, oh my gosh. And like when that big main character death happens, it happens, and then some stuff rises up out the ground, and then you get a title card, and I'm like, so are we really in the game now? Like, is this for real? Now we're in the stuff. But so yeah, a whole lot of stuff happens. Again, I'm skipping over things, so spoilers if I wanted to really get into it. But yeah, so the end of basically endings C, D, and E is just depressing. From that point on, it just gets depressing. But I still really enjoyed the game. And it's neat there for the E ending, which is there's like 26 endings you can get in the game. Only A, B, C, D, and E are like actually like story important. All the others are like little, oh, you went this way instead of that. Oh, you did this instead of that. And there's those little joke endings. They're not actually important. The E ending is really cool and really creative and inventive. I can't talk about it without spoiling it, so I'm going to say that right now. I will say what it is. Ignore me or mute this for like the next 30 seconds. I will say it real quickly, starting as of right now. So the E ending, what happens is you're doing the credits, and then you get a choice. A choice pops up. You do the choice. I think you have to do something else before the credits anyway. But then you basically end up doing a mini game, which is essentially a bullet hell type shooter thing against every name in the credits, and you have to get through it all, right? If you die, you could keep trying. Like if you die, you could say no, you don't want to keep going. But if you say yes, you keep on going. It gets to a point where you are going to die over and over and over again. And you can accept help if you're connected to online. You can accept help, and basically everyone who beat the game before you comes in and helps you and gets you through to the end. Once you get to the end and you finish it, it then says, you just finished beating the game. Did you enjoy it? Now, it then says, do you want to help others get to the end like you got help? If you say yes, everything gets deleted. All your save data gets deleted, and it's like you start from fresh. If you say no, nothing happens. You're just like, okay, cool. You keep your save and you're good. I said no. I don't intend to play the game again, but I said no in case I ever want to go back into it. I have all my save data. But I was like, that was neat. And the music that plays during that whole section too, beautiful. Beautiful. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'd muted you while you were talking about the ending, because like at some point I planned to play this game.
So you jumped in. Like, when did you hear me?
I can't remember, but then I unmuted you halfway through it because I remembered I'm going to edit the episode anyway, so I'm going to hear it. So
I promise you, what you heard was definitely it's only a spoiler in terms of like, that's an interesting thing they did, like design wise. That's not a story spoiler in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
Story wise is way more stuff. And actually I realized, like, as I was going, I was like, it's been a bit more than 30 seconds. Didn't mean that. But again, don't worry if you did catch any of that. It's not like heavy story spoilers at all in any way, shape, or form. There's actually a cutscene that happens after that I didn't even mention. But yeah, I enjoyed that game. So I finished that. I also finished Last Stop. Last Stop, I liked it. What would I rate it? I would rate it a 7. Here's why. Like I said, I liked the game. I was really enjoying it last time I talked about it. Last time I talked about it, I had only played everyone's first 2 chapters. Again, remember, you have the 3 characters. John, who's the dad. Mina, she's the government agent. And then Donna, she's this high school teenager. I'd only done everyone's first 2 chapters. Sunday, I knocked out everyone else's. I knocked out the rest of the game. Pretty sure it was Sunday. Yes, Sunday's the right day. I knocked it out Sunday. After everyone's second chapters, the game falters a bit. What I mean by that is, it was at that point that I realized, okay, unlike in Telltale story games or like Life is Strange or whatever, the dialogue choices mean nothing. The dialogue choices don't impact the story, except for the very final one that you make as every character. that one affects each character's individual ending. But other than that, the dialogue choices you make doesn't affect the story at all, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just kind of like it kind of takes away from feeling like you're having any impact on what's happening.
Yeah.
But the story was still fine regardless. Like the choices that you have is more so like variations on saying the same thing, essentially. So there's that. John's story was my favorite. The beginning of episode 3 is actually, I thought it was really clever and funny. It's kind of like it's kind of like what you would see like in a heist movie when everyone's like planning something out and stuff. Because they're just in that episode, the start of the episode, they're both like, all right, we have to pretend that we're each other at each other's jobs. So they're basically planning out, all right, this is what you got to do. And when you get there, you do this. And when you see them, you say this and do that, so on and so forth. And it's the way it's done, it's actually really funny. I had sitting there for a smile on my face for like 10 minutes while it happened. His story is really cool and interesting and emotional. I liked it. Mina's story, she was the government agent with the family marital issues and all. Her story is intriguing. It kind of tapers out a little bit in the middle, kind of, sort of, but it's still fine. It's still a good story. It's still intriguing. Donna, the high school teenager, her story fell flat. After episode 2, her story just kind of spins in place. I can't say why because of spoilers, like for the story.
Yeah.
But nothing really progresses in terms of like the main mystery. It just kind of sits there and it's just like, okay, what are we going to do about this?
Yeah.
Are we going to do anything about this at all? And it's kind of spinning in circles. And like, she is like, her character relationships are kind of like being explored some, but like we keep returning to this one scenario here. And it's like, can we do something about this? And even the characters in her story comment, they're like, yeah, I'm bored of this. They're like, I'm bored of this. Do what you want. But nothing changes about that situation at all. It just stays the same. It's just like, can we do something about this? Even I was like, all right, like I'm tired. Like, what are you guys going to do? What are you guys going to do? You guys just like skipping school, but we're just not going to address that no one's going to school. You guys are just like doing your own thing. I see. So yeah, like her story kind of just like fell flat after episode 2. It just kind of was like, which was a shame. Because like some of the family stuff with her was interesting, but again, I was just like, man, hers is not hitting the way I wanted to. And like some of the writing, again, like I mentioned last week, some of the writing was a bit hit or miss for certain things.
Yeah.
On a story, there was one instance, being as vague as I can, where she tells her sister about what happened in episode 1. And she goes to show her. And then like her sister's like, why are you lying to me? But then Donna's just like, okay. Instead of like actually pressing the matter and be like, no, this actually happened. She's just kind of like, okay. Something else major happens, I think, in that same exact episode. And she just kind of like, she's like, what? Huh? And then looks to her friend who knows about the situation, but doesn't like say, hey, I just saw this. This just happened. We should do something about this. She's just kind of like, didn't you see that? You didn't? What? Oh, okay. It's just like, it's like, really?
Yeah.
Really? Is that what we would do? But all that being said, everyone's stories come together in the final chapter. The final chapter, like you swap between all 3 of them in the same, because that's when everyone's stories connect. And it's really cool. It is really genuinely really cool. Everything that happens in that final chapter, and the game ends on a cool note. It ends on a cool note. I liked the choices that I made for the end of everyone's story. Everyone's story kind of clearly has a choice that's like, this is the good choice, this is the bad choice, kind of, sort of. I made what I thought was the good choice for every character.
Yeah.
But so I was happy with how it wrapped up. So overall, good game. I would say it's a 7. I would say it's a 7 out of 10, in my opinion. So I don't know if you're still going to play it, but It's fine. It's a fine game. Not bad.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I might.
It's also short. It's a good weekend game. You can knock it out in like 6 hours.
Okay.
My PS5 said I played it for 3 hours, which is a lie. That is a lie. I know I played it for more than 3 hours. So I don't know what's up with the timer, but it's a good weekend game.
Yeah,
for sure. Like if you want to do up to everyone's chapter 3, then stop one day and then do the rest the next day, you totally can. It's easily doable like that. All right, 3 more games here. One of them I already mentioned, Fortnite. I watched the Ariana Grande concert. It was amazing. It was super cool. As an Ariana Grande fan, not a stan, I like her music. She makes good stuff. As a fan of Ariana Grande, that was really cool. The songs were nice. It was a nice set list there. The visuals that she had going on were really, really freaking cool. Like she first comes down to a little raindrop and then she's like dancing on like the ocean, but like the bubbles around. It's super cool. And then everyone's like in bubbles floating, like everyone's in bubbles following her around. She flies to the sky and stuff. And then you're on the llama thingies. You're on the llamas riding them in the sky as she's like a giant Ariana Grande swinging on something. And then it goes to you guys basically in what looks kind of like MC Escher staircase kind of thing. And like she's walking upstairs with a hammer and like you're following her and go through portals and stuff. And then she breaks the ceiling with her hammer. And then you all end up in like this basically this rift type area when like the final song Positions plays. And like there's like copies of her flying around, and then she like slowly comes up and grabs the hammer, then slams it down on the ground. And then you all go back to the rift, and then you're back to the map, and just UFOs there, happy music's playing. At that point, it's the end of the show. Before her concert, before her part starts up, you get sucked through a rift. When the concert first starts, you get sucked through a rift, and I forgot where you're brought to first. You brought somewhere first. I remember. It's like you're surfing on like glum, whatever, slurp. You're just like surfing on slurp in the sky. It's cool. Like different songs are playing. So the song playing during that, and then you're brought to this area where it's like you're kind of bouncing on like yarn and stuff, and other songs playing. It's cool. It's a visual treat. And then the final the next section before you get to Ariana's part, it's you and like 3 other people on like planes, and you're basically doing like a rail shooter type thing. So like it's flying around and you're shooting at stuff to try and get points, high score and stuff like that. And then it goes to this thing where like your character is revived by someone else, and then you stand up, you turn around, you revive someone, and then like you see all these other people are being revived, and then it transitions into Ariana. Overall, it was super cool. Again, like I said before, watching it afterwards and never being a part of it and actually being a part of it, 2 very different things. It is something, if you like Ariana Grande, experience it. Even if you don't like Ariana Grande, experience it if you can. Well, I mean, at this point, it's over. So I hope you experienced it. So that was Fortnite. This week, I started Control Ultimate Edition.
Yes.
Finally. Because I was like, all right, I'm done with Nier. I'm done with Last Stop. What else is there on my PS5 that I want to play? That's not Assassin's Creed. Demon Souls, I will get to you. You might be the next one. So I was like, you know what? I want to play. Let me do Control. Let me download that. And I was actually playing some before we started today. What was I doing? What did I do? I just did the stuff with the maintenance downstairs for the first time and got the elevator working. Talked to Emily again. She told me I gotta go find Marshall. So that's the next thing I gotta do. Go find Marshall. I'm enjoying Control so far. Before you get your powers, it's kind of sucks to play. Sucks gameplay wise. Not sucks. It's not as fun gameplay wise before you get your powers. By powers, I mean the launch. Yeah. I'm playing with the ray tracing mode. Not doing the 60 FPS, but I may change my mind. I'm going back and forth in my head about it. But so far, I'm liking it. The oldest house, really cool setting. And it's real, like cold, mysterious, foreboding, claustrophobic, but also like just crazy at the same time. I love it. It's a really cool setting. You got the gun and then the everything. It's cool. It's cool. I got so far. I noticed. I think some of the powers are actually optional ones. You can't. I think it's possible to miss some of the powers. I think because like I just got the shield one, but the shield I only got that because I just went off the beaten path. Like I found the side mission for it, so I went and I did it. So I'm like, oh, okay. So maybe it's possible even like to miss some powers entirely if you're not looking around and stuff. So, but I have the shield, I have the launch, I have the dash. I have those 3 so far. Real quick side note, there's a whole lot of like stuff to pick up and read. I think it might be a bit too much because a lot of it's just kind of pointless. Like, I guess it offers world building, but like not substantial world building. Like I picked up one note that I was like, hey, here's the book club. And it's just like, okay, well, I mean, there's that, I guess. As opposed to like Skyrim world building where like there's all these books and stuff to read. But although it has no bearing on the main story, it adds color to the overall world. Whereas knowing about this person's book club doesn't add much to the world of the oldest house in my eyes. So like I'm still looking at everything I pick up, but I know 9 out of 10 is going to be like, okay, I can just skim this. I don't need to actually read this in depth. But no, I'm really enjoying it. The launch is so freaking cool. Like it was always cool seeing it, but I think what makes it so cool is, like pulling the. I think it's R1, so not the trigger, but use R1, like to pull it up. And what's so cool for me in my head is the sound it makes when you do it. It's just like the.
Yeah,
it's just like
playing in my head right now.
Right, like I love that sound. The sound it makes when you call something over to you and just bam, bam, bam. It's like, oh, I love doing that. I love it so much just for that. I don't even care about the tossing at people. I just want to pull stuff and hear that sound. Super cool. So yeah, I'm enjoying that. The haptics with it are cool. Although this is one of those games where just similar to Ratchet and Clank. You feel the haptics vibrate every time you take a step, except in Ratchet, it didn't feel annoying. Here, I'm just kind of like, do I need that though?
Yeah.
Does that really add much for me? It seems a bit unnecessary and extra, but still, I'm enjoying it. I don't know when I'll be done with it. Maybe sometime soon, but it's a good game so far. So that is the main game I'm playing now. And that's that. So now it's the final game I played this week, which I played, I think, an hour and a half of last night. And I played for all of, I guess you could say, 20 minutes on Tuesday. That game is Hunter's Arena Legends. Did you pull up the video?
Yep, got it up now.
Is it playing? Yes or no?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm just going to skip ahead then. So I don't know what point you're at. This game. So this is the free PS5 game for PS Plus this month. We first saw it in State of Play, I think, a month or 2 ago. And I was like, okay, since that could be interesting. This game is a 5 at best. Maybe a 6 at best. Do you have audio on? I don't have audio on for the video, but do you have audio?
Neither do I.
Okay. You might want to turn the audio on just so you can hear some for it. Because let me say this. That's the audio off the bat. I was like, oh dear God. The audio in this game is so freaking compressed. It is compressed out the woodworks. Like when you're walking or hitting anything, it just sounds like so compressed and muffled. It doesn't sound good. It sounds like just low budget. Like I don't know. I don't know. So what we're seeing here right now, this is the waiting area for, Battle Royale game. There's a bunch of different characters in it. You're in the waiting area. You have your map, and it's 30 players in the Battle Royale. This is footage of the solos mode. There's solos, trios, and tag. Tag, I think you choose between like 2 different characters to play as. I didn't do it. I only did solos and trios. But after the timer, you run off, and then you go to an area. The map is populated with random enemies for you to fight, and kind of, I guess, in a sense, like a MOBA. You fight the enemies that are on the map to get stronger. That way, you're more ready for fighting the actual human opponents.
Yeah.
You could also fight the human opponents at the same time. This is one of them right here. I don't know if you're at the same point I am, but I'm fighting this actual player. I'm fighting this actual player here. I'm about to kill him off and everything because he just ran up on me while I was fighting
He's in the air.
the NPCs. Ah, yeah. So I'm a tad bit ahead of you then. I'll move back some. So yeah, you fight the human opponents at the same time, and when you beat like the NPCs, they'll drop loot and also like money sometimes. And obviously, you could pick it up and stuff. If you beat a human opponent, whatever they have, you could pick up as well. On concept, on paper, it's an interesting idea. A melee combat focused battle royale with 30 players in a fantastical world with everyone has special abilities. Seems cool on paper, but it only it has potential, but it doesn't even meet that potential all the way for a couple reasons for me. The map is fine. The map is cool. I like the map. It's it's small, but it's not too small that it feels claustrophobic.
Yeah.
It's the perfect size for what we got going on here. Hold on, I wrote some stuff down. So I wrote a few things down and I kind of stopped writing stuff down. So yeah, the combat is fine. As you see here, there's stylish combos that you can do. The attacks are stylish and everything. On the bottom left there are different abilities you could use with L1. If you do L1 square, triangle, circle, or X, you do a different ability. So as you level up, you'll get your L1 and X ability to do. And then once you hit level 10, then you get your super ability you can do, which is a really special move. I try to do one in this footage later on, but I don't manage to land it, which is also part of the problem here with the combat. Combat, it's flashy, it's stylish with the moves, but it doesn't feel all that good or fun to do. In all honesty, there's not much intricacy to it. And once you get a person in a combo, you can do this thing where if you're the one stuck in a combo, you could do press both L1 and R1 to do escape from it.
Okay.
All your abilities are on a cooldown though, including the escape. So if you do it, you have to wait 90 seconds before you can do it again. If you can't do your escape, and you're not able, if you can't do your escape, you get locked into a combo, you might as well just call it quits at that point. Because if someone locks you into a combo and gets you stuck in the air and everything, and then you land and they still keep hitting you and you're not able to actually recover and get away, you're basically dead. There's no way to get out. There's no way to avoid it at all. Which, yeah, I guess you could say I'm not trying to say that I want fight to give it to me, but some of the fights, it was just I'm getting hit and beat up. I was all right, I'm not even gonna bother trying to get out of this one because I know I'm not gonna win. It's not gonna happen at all. So that's part of the issue with the combat. And then there's also the thing with the combat where you see on the left-hand side, the D-pad area right there. You have things you can do, throw like smoke bombs or bombs and all. And the game, when you first start the game, it drops you into a tutorial that teaches you everything about how to play the game, right? But I feel like that tutorial does surface level job of teaching you how to play, because once you actually get into the actual game, you're still wait, hold on, how do I do this? What do I do? Kind of, so at least I was. The tutorial really didn't fully prepare me for playing the game.
Yeah.
And you're able to train against random, just against the NPCs, the other characters, in a training mode, in that waiting area, you just beat up on them as much as you want, kind of in a fighting game with the training there. But it's still not, I don't know, it wasn't enough for me. I guess it was enough for me to get to grips with one character and how they played and all. And each of the characters, they all had different play styles. So some of them are more up close melee combat focused. Others, this one I'm playing, he's more, I think it said mid-range. It says it next to each character. I think he's a mid-range or a long-range guy. And then there are actual long-range characters too. They specialize more so in long-range combat. And everyone's abilities are different and all like that. I played as a couple different people. This was actually the very last match I played last night. So here you see I'm fighting this one girl. And then this other guy jumped in on the fight. Yeah. You see I beat her and all her loot drops out. We'll get to the loot in a second now. But you kind of saw that was a fair fight, kind of, sort of, because as the matches go on, like your whole goal when you're doing a match is basically, all right, I need to kill as many NPCs as I can to make myself stronger.
Yeah.
And there are things on the map that you can also go to and pick up as well that like might give you a bit of a health buff, might increase your strength, so on and so forth. You might have seen some of that in the footage so far here. So you need to do all that. And like there's like it's cool, it's interesting. It makes it, put some more onus on you to like, to like run to actually fight people and fight random enemies or just avoid them and stuff like that. Because if you do, you're not gonna be able to like go up against people in game in any way, shape, or form. And like as matches go on, at certain points, bosses will appear that are like level 20 that you can take on by yourself. But if you're doing it in like trios with a group of people, then you'll have a better chance of taking them down.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's that. Then there's the loot, which honestly, the entire time I played, I couldn't make any sense of it at all. Like all the stuff drops, and when you walk over to a piece of loot, you'll see something on the screen. It'll say like, it'll have a color. It'll say what that equipment is, right? But so you press R2 to pick it up. But I mean, it doesn't really, it doesn't give you any visual change. All it does is increase your stats. Now you'll see on the bottom of the screen next to the map, it'll show you the loot that you have.
Yeah.
Different rarities and all. But like, honestly, it got to the point where I was literally just picking up anything and everything. I was like, just pressing R2 as soon as I kill someone, just pick up everything. Because nothing really seemed to like matter all that much in terms of what I picked up. I didn't know what I was picking up. I didn't know how it was like benefiting me in any way. It's just like, it might say like this, it might say great sword and it's a blue. Like I'm saying like great swords and like an actual great sword. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And it'll be like, blue rarity. I'm just like, don't know if that's better than what I currently got. Don't know if that's, if I should grab this, but whatever. I'm just going to grab it because I'm sure it'll help me in some way, shape, or form. I don't know. Like, there are things about the game where it could just be explained better. And the game just doesn't do a good job of explaining things to you at all in terms of, like, the different mechanics and what certain things mean and so on and so forth. Like if you're watching the same point I am right here, I just escaped from that guy who was basically juggling me. And this part here, I'm just like trying to survive as best I can.
Yeah.
The healing, that was another thing. You have potions that you can use to heal yourself. But unlike in other Battle Royale games where you have to hold down the button, you only press it here. You press it and then it drinks automatically. But if you hold it, it starts to drink and then puts it away. So like there were some times where like I'm trying to heal myself and I'm like, oh wait, no, I have to let go. I can't just hold it. And it's just tedious and annoying and frustrating. Certain things. Let me see. What else is there with this game? There is, so this is me really with the solos mode. Trios, well, also real quick, as you see, a lot of this loot is basically the same. Like it all looks the same. There's no way to tell what's different aside from the name, but even the names like are all the same for most of them, really.
Yeah.
So the trios mode, I did like 2-3 matches of that. Trios, I thought was fun, but it's only fun if you're actually with. That was me trying to do the super move and it failed. I don't know why. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
We're at the exact same point.
Trios, it's only good if you are playing with a team of people that actually knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
My first match of trios, like neither of my teammates were on the same page. Like one person was just literally running around in the waiting room, the other person just stood still. So eventually, when like the timer eventually kicks you out the waiting room and like sends you onto the map, we were all just in different places. We weren't next to each other. I was like, I'm basically doing solos then, until I find one of you again. But my second trios match was actually better. We were all like 3 of us were working together and stuff, and we made it close to the end. But we didn't make it. We all ended up dying, unfortunately. And like that's the thing. Maybe I'm not explaining my point that well. There is potential in the combat here if it felt better, if it was more fun to do. There's potential in the mechanics in the systems here, like with the loot and everything. If you explain it better, that way it's easier to understand, then it could be more fun and enjoyable. All the characters, every character has different abilities. So some characters, like they are good for buffing for buffing other people and stuff. So if you're doing trios, it's good, you know, like you can work your team combinations a certain way and like work with each other to ensure, you know, the best chances and the best odds and all like that. But other systems, I guess other parts of the game just kind of make it not so fun. And if you're also not playing with people that are good or, you know, even competent, it's not going to go that well for you in any way, shape, or form. See here, I escaped from this chick right here, and I'm already about to die. But she's... Do I heal myself? I don't remember if I heal myself. I think I might try to heal myself. Oh, no, I remember. I tried to throw the bombs, but, like, I'd only ever used them once in the tutorial, but even then, it was just, like, didn't really know how to use it and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just not all that well put together and stuff.
Yeah.
And then, like, there's also the fact that, like, that's just like the gameplay side of things. But like, there's even like the UI. You're not gonna see it here, but like the main menu is so basic. Like, there's a picture in the background, and then like there's some text on the side, but like it's all like simple fonts and stuff. The UI when you are in the match, like it might look fine on the screen on YouTube, but like actually playing, like even still, stuff is small and tough to make out. Like your abilities on the bottom left screen, I sit pretty close to my TV. It's still kind of tough to see what those things are saying and what they mean and all like that. Like, there are so many things about this game where I'm like, man, there is potential to be here. Like, there is some potential for this game to be good,
yeah,
or fun or enjoyable, but like it's just mediocre at best. Like, it's really not. I didn't find it all that fun or enjoyable. It was fine for like the 2 or so hours I played of it. You know, as a free PlayStation Plus game, you know, of course, add it to your library regardless. Always add PlayStation Plus games to your library. As a free PlayStation Plus game, it's fine. Like, it. Let me say this. This definitely drags down the month for me. Personally, it drags the month down. Mm-hmm. It's like, oof, yeah, this game ain't that good. This kind of a rough game here. And it just comes off as like, for me, it feels like a really cheap type of game. And I feel like I'm sounding like really harsh and like mean on the game and all like right now, but like, it's just not that great. It's just really not. I mean, maybe it's fun for like, you know, turn your brain off and you just don't care about anything.
Yeah.
You don't care about a single thing. You just want something mindless to play while like listening to a podcast or something, or waiting for people or whatever. Maybe you could do that, but like, I'm sure you would probably have way more fun playing Marvel's Avengers, listening to a podcast in the background instead of playing this. Like, that's my takeaway of it. Like, the combat has potential because it's cool, but it should be more tuned up. The map is cool. The world is interesting, but like everything else just kind of like falls flat, or just like, it's fine, but like it's not that good, or it's annoying or frustrating. Oh, also, I forgot 2 other things, because also my battery's getting close to dying as well. One, the base movement speed in that game is terrible. It's like you're basically not moving at all. Like, you saw me like running around. Mm-hmm. That's the dash. There were a few clips in there where you might have seen me moving like base movement speed, but it's basically like, it's like you're moving in slow motion. You're just like, it's terrible. It's like, why is this the base movement speed? Why? I'm not moving around like this. If I'm doing this, I'm going to die. This should not be the base movement speed. Then there's also the fact that the triggers are just like not taken advantage of properly in this at all. Like, you have to use L2 to go into your dash, right? But like, the pressing down on it, it just doesn't feel right. Like, it tries to give some resistance or like a click when you're pushing through, but like, it's unnecessary. Like, why is that there? R2 is for like opening treasure chests and stuff. And there's like a bit of resistance to like a click there, but it's like, why is this the case? It doesn't need to be like this at all. Why do I have to do L1? Like, it just little things that all add up to make the experience just like not that enjoyable or fun.
Yeah.
In any way, shape, or form. So like, I still have it on my PS5. I might play another match or two, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to delete this thing like as soon as we're done. Like when I turn it on later tonight, just delete it off the system. Like I played it for this. It is what it is, and you are better off spending your time playing other games that are not that. Give it a fair shake though. Maybe you'll like it. Who knows?
I think with that, we will close out this week's episode of the Play to Win podcast. Thank you very much for listening. Again, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Play to Win Game, where you get updates on the show. Also, subscribe to us on YouTube while you're here watching the podcast, and take the notification bell so you know when new videos go live. Should be every Monday and Friday if we are able to. Share the show with anyone who you think would enjoy it. And Tyler, where can people find you?
Over on Twitter at TylerMiller2496. Follow me over there. As always, for all types of tweets about gaming, anime. I said that a bit too fast, so it sounded like I might have said something real weird. Other stuff I like and retweet a bunch of stuff. So yeah, follow me over there and talk to me.
And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Badlynet, BADLYNET, all one word. Thank you very much. Thank you all very much for watching. And we will talk to you all next week.
Have a good one, guys.